I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on GBM, we're diving into a remarkable true story of courage, sacrifice, and resilience. The name of the book, Not an Ordinary Life. It's written by a man who is not an ordinary author. His name is Jesse Oswalt, and he shares his powerful journey from small town Florida to a 23-year-long career in the U.S. Navy, filled with moments of danger, leadership, and personal triumph. With vivid storytelling, military history, and hard-earned lessons, this memoir offers inspiration for anyone seeking purpose and perspective. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him on TV today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Jesse, thank you for your service, and thank you so much for joining us here today.
Well, it was my pleasure to serve, and it was quite an adventure, and I'm very happy to be here today to speak to you about the book.
Absolutely. You grew up in small town Florida. Did that type of lifestyle sort of prepare you for military service?
No, I don't really think it did. It prepared me for to be able to survive just about anything that came up, but the military service was an option for me to get my education, to travel, and to serve my country.
Absolutely. Take us back to your first days in the Navy.
Um, Incidentally, today is the birthday of the Navy Hospital Corps,
Wow.
and I also found out after I joined, but that I joined today in 1980. So I joined as the hospital on the hospital corps birthday, and I served 23 years as a hospital corpsman. The first days are in boot camp, much like you see in any movie, military movie concerning boot camp. A lot of people yelling, a lot of people not really knowing what's going on, but you develop a routine and you begin to understand and trust that you're gonna make it through and be able to accomplish something that maybe not everybody does.
It must be an abrupt change being pulled from your comfortable life in a small town in Florida to being in boot camp with, like you said, a lot of people screaming at you. Um, what do you think was your most challenging deployment that you faced during your 23-year-long career?
Well, that's a tough one. I don't know that I could answer which one would be the toughest, but I can tell you which one was the most meaningful. And that was in 1995 when I had the opportunity to go into Vietnam and Laos on an MIA recovery mission.
Mm.
And they would only let us stay in country about 30 days, each team. But my team found remains and gear and supplies and personal items for 12 people that we were able to remove from the missing persons list. And that to me, it was hot, it was hard, it was dangerous, but it was the most rewarding mission and deployment that I had been on.
That's a lot of comfort to the people at home who have for decades mourned and worried about the loss or the status of their loved ones, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. It was that was part of the meaningfulness of it to me was to be able to give families closure and to be in that part of the world, and it really enlightened me being there as to how difficult it must have been to fight under those conditions. It was incredible experience.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Talk to us a little bit about your responsibilities in the Navy, what your role was, what kind of work you did.
Okay, I was a hospital corpsman, but if you're not familiar with the terminology, in civilian terms, I started out as an EMT. I went on to become a paramedic. I went on to become a PA. I worked in emergency medicine. I did a lot of time in sports medicine, physical rehab, emergency care. I rode in the back of an ambulance as an active EMT and paramedic for probably well over 1,000 hours logged in the back, responding to anything and everything that, EMTs respond to, traffic accidents and worse. But I ran many medical teams. On my last deployment, I had a team of 24 people, and we were responsible for the lives and welfare of about 2,000 Marines on our deployment unit. And so just being fully responsible in a remote environment for people's lives and health and safety.
Very, very important work. You lived through the Beirut bombing. Can you talk to us a little bit about that experience?
I was actually stationed on Okinawa when that happened. And October 23rd, 1983, there are days that most people will never forget, and that's one for me. And Okinawa has 7 Marine Corps bases, an Air Force base, and a naval hospital. And I was attached to the Marines. And at 2:30 in the morning, the phone rang, and the commanding general of the entire island was on the other end of the phone. And he said, "Hey, the balloon just went up and we're going hot. What that means is everything that we've been training to do, we're now going to do for real." And there's the size of the Marine unit is called a MEU, a Marine Expeditionary Unit, consisting of about 2,000 Marines. Takes 3 ships to transport the unit, and we had to build an extra MEU out of support personnel because Okinawa had one in the Philippines, one in Korea, and one was in the process of turning over. So we had to build a 4th one, and that means taking 2,000 Marines, running them through medical checks, running them through dental, legal, personnel. Then they had to go to the warehouse to draw all their field gear, and finally to the armory to draw their weapon. And we had to do that individually 2,000 times, and to get this people built. At that time, a unit of this size had never been built in less than 96 hours, 4 days. We did it in 72 hours. And because we knew the importance of the significance of what it was, and then going to, help our brothers who had been bombed in Beirut. So
amazing. How did those life or death moments shape your view of service and sacrifice?
When you're in the heat of things, and it doesn't really matter what it is, if it's a crisis or emergent situation, you rely on your training. You deal with what you have to deal with at the moment, and generally the oh wow factor doesn't hit until after it's all over, and you're dealing with it. You're doing what you have to do, and it's save as many people as you can, and then when it's all over, and the adrenaline rush is calming down, then your brain kicks in, is like, wow, we just really did that, and
Yeah,
but in the moment, you just do what you have to do at the moment.
exactly, exactly. It becomes like a reflex in the moment. You don't
Yes.
have time to think, you only have time to act.
Yeah.
But like you said, once the smoke is cleared a little bit, you're like,
Yeah.
oh boy, I can't believe what we did and what we went through.
Yeah.
Is there a lesson or two from your time in the Navy that still guides you today?
Rely on your training. Get as much training as you can, and not necessarily from the Navy, but also from the Navy. But when I was a child, my dad said, "You don't have to know everything about anything, but you should know as much as you can about as much as you can." So get a broad spectrum education, rely on your training, and then those things guide me today. Um, a basic military thing is, um, if you're less than 15 minutes early, you're late.
Mhm.
So to be early is to be on time, and I do not like to be late for anything. But simple things like that. Just rely on your training. Be aware of your surroundings, and help as many people as you can along the way.
Exactly. Exactly. That's great life advice for anyone, no doubt. How did your military career impact your personal relationships and your family life? You're away for decades, in faraway lands, a lot of separation. Talk to us about that kind of impact.
I did marry a military girl.
Mhm.
Uh, um, she didn't like my deployments any more than any other spouse.
Mhm.
However, her being active duty as well, it gave her a personal understanding that it was necessary, and she was very, very supportive of my deployment and my time, taking care of things at home that I didn't have to worry about while I was gone, so that I could focus on my mission at hand. Um, Having being away a lot of the time was it was hard, but again, you're in the moment. We didn't have email, we didn't have cell phones. This was before all of that, so we had to rely on the old-fashioned snail mail for communications. And then once in a while, when we would hit a port overseas, we'd have the opportunity to call back home and talk for a while.
Yeah.
And
It's part of the sacrifice you make that you're away from loved ones for extended periods of time. And particularly hard then, you didn't have FaceTime, you didn't have all of the things that people have today that make communication from far distances a lot easier. What do you hope readers take away from your book?
well, what I hope readers take away from the book is that we all face challenges, but to don't give up, keep pursuing it, keep your eye on the destination. Um, if you take your eye off the destination, sometimes you'll get lost on your path, get lost on your journey, but keep your eye on your destination. Understand why you began that journey to begin with, why you started the journey, but then just keep going, because sometimes you don't know how strong you can be until being strong is the only option you have.
Great. That is advice to live by, no doubt. And there's a lot of advice and a lot of insights to live by in this wonderful book. It's called Not an Ordinary Life. It is a gripping and inspiring memoir of military service, personal sacrifice, and extraordinary life lessons. Again, Jesse, we salute you for your service. We thank you for your service, and we thank you for your time here today.
It's my pleasure. I appreciate your time, and I've enjoyed being able to speak to you. And again, thank you.
I appreciate your time, your insight, and your wisdom and your courage. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford for the Global Book Network. So long for now.